In May 1969, Bjoern Steiger is hit by a car while on his way home from the swimming pool. Immediately after the accident, passers-by alert the police and the Red Cross, but the ambulance doesn't arrive until almost an hour later. Björn doesn't die of his injuries, he dies of shock.
At the time of our son's accident, we didn't know that there was no rescue service at all in Germany. We only found out the next day, through inquiries to the police and by asking journalists and friends. It was then that we thought we must do something.
Exactly 40 years ago, Ute and Siegfried Steiger found the Bjoern Steiger Foundation. The goal is to promote the establishment of emergency aid in Germany, leaving the actual task to the competent organizations and authorities. But it soon becomes clear that simply giving advice isn't going to change anything. In 1969, the foundation donates the first radio telephone for ambulances. An ambulance without a radio telephone, today it'd be unthinkable. The principle of taking action yourself to get something done works. The first rescue ambulance, this also an initiative taken by the foundation. Until then, patients were simply transported. The foundation provides fully equipped vehicles with first aid attendants, the basis of the modern rescue service.
I think we did things right. We donated one rescue ambulance to each federal state. We made no secret of it. We organized a 6-day rally and visited the capitals of all 11 federal states. We presented these vehicles to the respective minister presidents or to the ministers responsible, and we told them, "You've got the ambulance now, so start running the rescue service." In many of the federal states, it was the first ever rescue ambulance.
Exerting pressure, including political pressure. As an expert, Siegfried Steiger presents his demands to committees and at conferences, be it a 15-point program for setting up the rescue service or in the debate about emergency phones on motorways and major roads. The federal states refuse to finance them. Again, the foundation takes the initiative, ensuring that emergency phones are maintained and renewed on motorways and planning them on its own for major and minor roads. The first is operational on the 7th of July 1971. To date, the Bjoern Steiger Foundation has installed phones for 35,000 kilometers of road. As regards financing too, the foundation is always full of ideas. Celebrities are always glad to support a good cause. With the proceeds from the LP and by mortgaging the Steigers' family home, the foundation buys a rescue helicopter, which it donates to the Federal Ministry of the Interior, because the federal government was unable to finance the promised helicopter. While this resolved one of the most serious crises in air rescue, there still wasn't any nationwide, state-run air rescue service. As a consequence, the foundation set up the German Air Rescue Service.
We're indebted to the Bjoern Steiger Foundation for the legendary beginnings of a great era, the air rescue era. Air rescue is so well established in the German rescue services that we can say we're the only country in the world with a nationwide air rescue network, which enables us to get to patients anywhere in the country by helicopter within half an hour. That's a sensationally short time.
Besides the introduction of rescue ambulances, emergency phones and the setting up of the Air Rescue Service, the Bjoern Steiger Foundation initiated numerous other developments, including, for example, the Rapid Recovery Vehicle or the present-day Advanced Equipment Vehicle of the fire brigades with recovery and cutting tools, and the Organ Transport Car with its special organ refrigeration system. The Bjoern Steiger Foundation was also responsible for the introduction of the 24-hour emergency medical system in Germany and for the introduction of physician-escorted emergency ambulances, allowing doctors to reach patients fast and independently of the ambulance. Whether mobile helicopter landing pad lighting, a black ice warning system, or the first wheelchair that can climb stairs, the Bjoern Steiger Foundation's commitment has always been highly diversified. One perhaps even more important milestone was the introduction of the emergency phone numbers 110 and 112. In 1973 they existed in theory, but weren't available nationwide. The question why not is part of Siegfried Steiger's standard repertoire.
All the people involved told me it was impossibly, prohibitively expensive. When I asked what it cost, not one of them could give me an answer. So I phoned the head post office in Stuttgart, asked them to quote me the costs, and they told me in 10 minutes. For the administrative district of North Württemberg, 387,000 Deutschmarks. For us, that was a lot of money, but it could be financed.
Because the federal and state governments still didn't accept that the numbers could be financed, Siegfried Steiger simply took the state of Baden-Württemberg to court to make it introduce the emergency number. But for technical reasons, it was clear that the petition would be rejected.
As a young judge, I was of the opinion that this was such a serious and important subject that it shouldn't be dealt with like that. So I organized an open hearing, and for the first time also invited the press. The result was that although the petition had to be rejected, it caused such an outcry in the media that it promoted the cause of emergency call 110 after all, and the number was finally introduced.
So while the petition failed in court, it had the desired publicity effect.
When it was over, I think it was the 27th of September, and we'd taken the decision, I thought, right, now I must ring the obstinate bugger up and tell him he got his way. He got on our nerves, but he succeeded.
As early as 1974, the Bjoern Steiger Foundation developed and financed the first emergency ambulance for babies. Then, as now, transfers between obstetric and pediatric clinics without optimal care carried a high risk.
I was born just under 30 years ago, a typical premature baby. My mother was 6 months pregnant, and it was touch and go whether I'd survive. I couldn't be treated at the hospital where I was born, and so I was transferred in the emergency ambulance for babies. I was lucky because the baby emergency ambulance was so well equipped that they were able to treat me immediately during the transfer. I was put straight into the incubator and was given oxygen. There's no doubt about it. If it hadn't been for the Bjoern Steiger Foundation, I wouldn't be here today.
Progress as a lifesaver. And with emergency calls too, the Bjoern Steiger Foundation's commitment continues. Thanks to cell phone technology, people can be located fast.
We were clearing up on the building site. I'd already put 2 panes of glass away, and with the third one I just thought, let's hope the glass doesn't break. And at that moment I see a fountain of blood in front of me, and I think, hey, what's that? I look down at my arm and see that my arm isn't in the right place anymore. And there's this huge hole in the arm. So then, with some presence of mind, I take my phone out of my pocket and dial 112, and they ask me straight away where I am and where the accident happened. The trouble was, I couldn't tell them because I had no idea what the name of the street was. They told me that was no problem. The fire brigade worked together with the Bjoern Steiger Foundation and had a locating system they could use to locate my mobile phone. So that's how the rescue services found me. Personally, I believe that without the locating system, I would have bled to death on the spot. Because the fire brigade made a point of saying they wouldn't have found me, because the site was so remote. Another 5 minutes, and I'd have been dead. All I can say is, thank you, Bjoern Steiger Foundation.
The best aid is fast aid. This is the principle of all of the Foundation's activities, and it applies in particular to the Fight Cardiac Death campaign. After sudden heart failure, qualified first aid must be given within 3 to 5 minutes. This is where defibrillators save lives. The foundation supplies 902 of these devices worth 2.3 million euros to all urban and rural districts in Germany on free permanent loan, subject to the requirement to train 20 people a month to use them. Thus, the number of helpers increases all the time. Special devices have a voice prompt function which explains step by step how to use them. In this way, lay people also can give first aid fast and safely. To make fast help possible in public places as well, the foundation, supported by local sponsors, is installing so-called DeFi pillars, so that anyone can give help quickly.
Bei plötzlichem Herzversagen kommt es zum sofortigen Bewusstseinsverlust.
Es kommt zum Atemstillstand.
Life-saving starts at school, one of the Bjoern Steiger Foundation's most recent projects. If all 7th grade kids in Germany do a first aid course, a whole generation of lifesavers will grow up.
Gib mir 5 Minuten deines Lebens.
Meins zu retten.
Hilf meinem Herz mit deiner Hand, wenn es plötzlich versagt.
Mit Ihren 15 € können wir den Erste-Hilfe-Tag an allen deutschen Schulen einführen.
Und so jedes Jahr 1 Million Kinder zu Lebensrettern ausbilden.
Werde jetzt Pate der Aktion Retten macht Schule.
www.rettenmachtschule.de.
Wir wollen zeigen, dass
We want to show that anyone can help, even if there's no defibrillator available. With heart massage alone, 30% of the people would survive who still die because no one helps. Germans are so afraid of doing something wrong that they prefer to run away rather than help. Yet there's nothing more beautiful than helping someone who then survives.
The Bjoern Steiger Foundation has turned 40. That's 40 years with true milestones in providing fast aid in emergencies. 40 years of deep commitment to improving rescue services. Finally, time to lean back.
I don't think leaning back suits us, and we won't lean back in the future either. We'll carry on.